is in the public interest to know all this, but there are elements of the state that don't believe the public should know everything. That's why directives were handed out, as we saw through the Twitter files, to censor or suppress tweets that they acknowledged were true about injuries related to the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine, that it would cause vaccine hesitancy if people talked about getting injured on Twitter by this vaccine. And one of the biggest critics of the mandates and that whole regime that we live through is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's declared his intention to run for president. And, he's being attacked, as can be expected. He's going to run as a Democrat. I don't know how far his campaign is going yet, whether it's still in an exploratory phase. I mean, I guess he's a presidential candidate. I don't know if he'll be allowed in the debates. I think we're going to see how undemocratic the Democratic Party is. But if you look at any headline about him, they just say that he is an anti-vaccine crackpot or anti-vaccine advocate. That's how he's being described. He was right about the failings of the COVID-19, the mRNA vaccines from the beginning, before they were even rolled out in late 2020. He was saying they will not prevent transmission or infection. And he was attacked for that. And he proved right, because what he was saying was it won't stop the pandemic, as we're being told, as Rachel Maddow said. And it won't, it will lead to a bunch of asymptomatic or symptomatic carriers walking around thinking that they're fine and spreading it to others. So it's not going to work. But there is another side to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the son of someone who was assassinated in a political assassination that he believes is unsolved. The son of someone who was monitored and undermined by J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, as the son of someone who attempted to stop the Vietnam War, and as someone who is also a prominent environmental lawyer taking on corporate America, and who has very strong opinions against or about the evils of the U.S. war state, the CIA, and the FBI, and who's hosted me on his podcast to talk about the Ukraine proxy war. And here's a statement, one of the first statements that RFK Jr. made as a Democratic presidential candidate. I just wanted to alert everyone that this is happening. And here's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The collapse of U.S. influence over Saudi Arabia and the kingdom's new alliances with China and Iran are painful emblems of the abject failure of the neocon strategy of maintaining U.S. global hegemony with aggressive projections of military power. China has displaced the American empire by deftly projecting instead economic power. Over the past decade, our country has spent trillions bombing roads, bridges, ports, and airports. China spent the equivalent building the same across the developing world. The Ukraine war is the final collapse of the neocons' short-lived American century. The neocon projects in Iraq and Ukraine have cost $8.1 trillion, hollowed out our middle class, made a laughingstock of U.S. military power and moral authority, pushed China and Russia into an invincible alliance, destroyed the dollar as the global currency, cost millions of lives, and done nothing to advance democracy or win friendships or influence. So this is someone who is going to attempt to be on the Democratic debate platform. And I think at this point, I'm calling it a welcome intervention, and I'm looking forward to speaking to Bobby Kennedy Jr. on this platform at some point in the near future. So,
well, that'll do him wonders for the Democratic primary crowd to have him featured on the Grayzone. He's gonna,
Well, it's about time we had someone who just doesn't care about what the Democratic Party brokers think and relates to the base, because there still is a part of the Democratic Party base that hates MSNBC and all the pro-war trash they're pushing out that hasn't completely gone over. And as we saw with Jeremy Corbyn's Labor candidacy, not comparing RFK to Corbyn, but I'm just speaking about a potential political phenomenon. He pulled tens and tens of thousands of mostly young people into the Labor Party who had been disgusted by Tony Blair and New Labor. So I hope that the Democratic Party, through RFK's candidacy, can become an arena of contestation as it was when Bernie in 2016 declared. And it seems like RFK is taking a much better line than Bernie did over U.S. empire.